So I have a question regarding the data center. I look at the, I read the book and have no clue how can I find a data center. I Google some name. I mean, cannot find the related data. For example, the cost of the data center. I don't know where I can find that information. Can you give me some clue?
Well, do whatever you can. If you can't find anything, then you can't find anything.
Okay, thank you.
I think Microsoft has actually some numbers published on Amazon. It doesn't mean that a Google search will result an information within 5 minutes. You may actually have to spend half an hour Google search or something like this on this to find something, right? So, so the data center, I realize this could be a problematic thing. One of the things that you could, for example, figure out is there any data published on the size of the data center? Can we estimate them? So the numbers may not be published by them, but you may be able to derive some numbers. That's one of the questions. Okay. Any other question? So then I would like to start actually with the data center section, and I haven't popped that yet up. So I have to first find that. Let's see which, I think it's this one here. So this week's task is to figure out what a cloud data center is and what kind of important metrics there are that exist in these cloud data centers. And so we have here the learning objective specified. And the motivation is clearly data, and how much data is being stored in such data centers may be important. And was sometimes really cool to figure out, is there somehow an information value that we can, or a metric that we can identify what an existing data center actually stores? Oops. Here we have some overview pictures that put that in perspective. You know, some of these numbers are really cool. When you talk to other people, they sometimes don't understand how much data it is, but these numbers that are put up here, what happens every minute of a day is actually pretty cool to communicate to others. We have these charts evolving over multiple years. If you find one from 2019, it would be great that if you could contribute that. And then we will be introducing this into this book. So if you have that information, just let us know. We then go into the data center infrastructure, what we have, like UPSs and so forth, and what are possible causes for outages in data centers. We have energy cost, which is certainly really important because these things are super huge and consume a lot of data. And we have here some numbers provided and also some projections about, you know, what it is, if the data center is efficient or not. And here are some definitions, and you should probably look into them and make sure that you understand these definitions. We have here an internal about how often data centers are organized in hot and cold aisles. So that's all documented here. And we find some colleagues from the University of Buffalo. I have previously looked into how clouds can be measured and metrics can be included. And then we provide overviews of AWS, Google, Azure, and some academic clouds such as Exceed. Exceed is actually the high-performance computing network, but it also contains clouds such as, for example, Jetstream and Comet. And then Jetstream is hosted in Indiana University. And here we see the projection of the energy forecast for these data centers. And one needs to be really careful with what people are saying. These numbers keep on changing. So if you find additional new information, just let us know. We will update the activity. Here's a section that is being has been contributed by a former student of this class, the Project Natic. So that because he was so interested in this, and so he actually did this instead of the homework assignment. And then we have a couple of sections that you were supposed to be addressing as part of your homework assignment. So first of all, we find renewable energy for data centers, and like solar, wind, hydro, thermal, or recyclers, and maybe even other storage, other energy forms. And it would be cool if you can locate data centers that fall into one or the other category. One thing you should, for example, note is this. I haven't written this down here yet, but mining for Bitcoin is pretty energy intense. There's actually a center in the world where most Bitcoin mining takes place. So it's interesting to find out why that takes place exactly in that particular region. The other thing is we have a societal shift happening in many countries from coal and other energies to more renewable energy. And one of the students has already picked up Germany and has found out that Germany is getting out of nuclear power and completely wants to have 80% of its whole energy consumption being driven by renewable energy by sometime in the year 2050, I believe. So it would be interesting to see how other countries are faring in this, like China. And then Iceland is especially interesting because they have some really cool thermogeological features that make that country completely independent from any other energy source. And therefore, it could be very attractive for data centers. Other climatology-related activities, such as, for example, cold weather, can be used to cool down, for example, a data center. So sometimes we see data centers being built in the north, and in the winter time, they just cool down the data center. So the cooling cost is actually much lower in these things. So it would be interesting to see not only that you look at the societal shift towards renewable, but also how these shifts relate to computing centers. Then the last portion is data centers can naturally go down or have some outages. And we would like you to research some of these major outages and what impact they actually have. Can you identify, for example, a dollar value of the impact when, for example, such a data center goes down? And provide some references to this. So we have formulated this here as exercises, and I have in week 2 outlined which exercises we would like you to do. And do the best you can. As we heard originally already from one of the students, he wasn't sure where to find may be complicated to get, and you may have to do some more deeper searches. Not only Google, but you may actually have to Google Scholar or to some IEEE CM references. Maybe a Nature article that recently has been published could be of help. So this is not a task that you can do in 5 minutes through Google search and paste and copy something. This is probably taking up a little longer. Remember, this class does require you to spend some amount of time to do these exercises. So don't expect that these tasks can be done in 2.5 minutes or so. So this was the overview of the data center section, and we would really like that you complete this by next week. The homework are due on next week, Tuesday, I believe, because I sent them out on Monday night, I believe. That would be 1 week for the assignment. If the online students need longer, you have this pass. Remember, these are pass-fail assignments, and we would like you to do them correctly. And I think the first assignment, we will be very generous, but we would like to see an effort from you. And if the effort needs to be corrected, we will be informing you. So just make sure it's not just done in haste. So I would like to show you already some students. So 3 students have already submitted their assignments in part, and we have already looked at them and commented on these assignments. So the first assignment is from this particular student, and this is now also the important part to characters. So naturally we can't read this, right? And one of the things I have done in PyCharm, I have installed in PyCharm, when you go there, there is a plugin available. When you go to plugins, that plugin is called Wrap Columns from Andrew Brockens or something like this. If you install this and you move a character out here, and you move this in this form here as a make separate line, then you can say Control, Shift, Command, and P on my Macintosh, for example. And then this way, this whole thing breaks over in these lines. So then I can actually read this, see? So it would be great if when you deliver your assignments that you can all make sure that they're in 80 character lengths. That would be much easier for us next time to read, okay? So as you can see, as the student has already done this, used Markdown for communicating this. And this student wanted to use the IU data center at University of Arkansas as the data center for the energy cost, which I think they will be able to get numbers for that one. We have another student that has decided to analyze the IU Bloomington data center. And this particular student has actually found some real values of kilowatt and so forth. He makes some assumptions in this analysis, and then comes up with real numbers here. As you can see, this is what's the yearly cost? 2.89 million per year. So mega. And there's a ton of CO2 footprint given. So this is actually pretty good. So let's hope that the calculation is correct. You're all invited to look at this particular student's contribution. It's all openly public, and you can take a look at this. But since he has already done that particular data center, so if you don't have any corrections to this, then please pick a different data center if you can. Okay. And there is a third person. This particular person is doing the Google data center in Bluffs, Iowa. And so they have found some information. And naturally here, what we would have to do is we have to include a headline. We have to say to this particular student, do not use the word I, because this has nothing to do with him. It's unimportant if he decided to do the information for this data center. What he should be writing about is this Google's data center in Council Bluffs, Iowa has these properties. It's unimportant if he decided to do this or not. It's unimportant if he focused on something or not. So he needs to just list these things in a more consistent fashion in third person. Okay, good. Are there any questions concerning this? One thing you notice is when we have markdown, there's always a space after the headline. When you have a list of references, you do them always with star. Hyperlinks are always done like this, where you have brackets open and brackets closed if you want to have them. And as you can see, PyCharm is so nice to even tell you while doing a change of color that these are proper markdown hyperlinks. Please remember that on GitHub, you're not using Markdown, you're using something called Common Mark, which is different from Markdown. It's somewhat very similar, but slightly different, okay? So just because it renders in GitHub doesn't mean that it renders properly here.
Hello?
Yeah.
I have a question. I still not get what the assignment for this week is.
It's published, it was published, I think, on Monday or so. So one of the things that we have done is we have under Piazza. So first of all, we sent out an email message to, I believe, Canvas.
Yep, I saw that, and then I also go to Piazza.
If I go to Canvas, trace the steps, so maybe there's some problem with our notification idea. So I go to Canvas, I log into the class, I got the notification here that there's an assignment there. Yep. The assignment says week 2, and there says it's okay. Lecture notes at week 2 have the assignment, so I click on this.
Okay.
Click on the PDF.
Yes.
And, I should be seeing here weekly agenda.
Okay.
And there's week 2, and this says what we have done.
Oh, can you go back to the menu of that book again? Because I found that I got the wrong book. I see data center is a chapter 3, and I don't. We have assignment.
We have 2 books.
Okay.
One is, well, we have multiple books. So here are all the online books.
Yes.
One of them is not for the class, the 534, which is yet another class that I'm participating in.
Oh, so you are in the
big data applications is another class, but here's the cloud computing book. That's one of the books that we actually have. And then we have a book that's called 516, which includes the rundown of the assignment. But if you download this book here and you go into the book,
Uh-huh.
It says here in the book itself, for week 2, it says we have released a new version of the book.
Okay.
This is this one. I click on the link. So I'm clicking on the link that says, okay, this is the book that is released. And in this book, you find this chapter on clouds, on data centers here. See, data center. So
Okay.
this is what
Yeah,
I've just shown you, right?
Yeah. Let me give me a
But
moment.
then recall that we were actually standing in our weekly assignment book that also said this is okay. I have updated this, and do the following assignments. So you have the cloud book. Use this as your book that you would buy in a bookstore, but you don't have to pay anything for it. You just get it. And this is our document for how we actually do the class with our weekly activities. And as you can see, it was properly bound into Canvas. You just had to click through the links. So far we only have used two of these books. One is the cloud book, and the other one is the book that contains the agenda of the class. Right? This is this one, and they're clearly, yeah. This is Cloud Engineering e516, and the other one is called Cloud Computing.
Oh, so the first book, yeah. The first book you show here is, I see only the agenda.
This is the agenda, and this is what you will follow, yes.
And the follow
this is like a book that you would be normally buying in the bookstore, where the teacher says, read this chapter in this book.
Okay, okay. And this week we do the data center.
Yes.
And all of the question in this book that we can pick one. What is that? We answer the exercise here, or we pick one of the.
Look here. Let's figure this out together.
Okay. Thank you.
And this is really important for everybody. And since this is the first week, I think it's really important to clarify this very nicely. So I'm very glad that you asked these questions.
Thank you.
The lecture material is distributed at this time in these two books. Okay. So now this says, please read the section in the cloud computing about data center. There's even a link provided to this, so that you click on this that says, okay, this is the book that you need to be reading up on, where this data center is being done. So now you need to read that chapter. And then we say here, make sure that you update this book frequently, right? So because it may be soon outdated, okay? And that's the reason why we didn't shoot a video. And then we say, do the following assignments. So these are all the assignments that you're supposed to be doing this week. Now, where do you find the assignments? Well, the assignments we find naturally while looking at this book. So let me just look at this book here. So we go now here to the book and go to the data center section. And there's a section called exercises. And now I see here, e-data center 1, e-data center 2. So and if you now compare I lost the, yeah, I lost the other book. So, so let me open this again. I just closed it by accident. If you go to the exercise here for week 2, it says do e-data center 2A. So you go in the book, e-data center 2A, hero. Worldwide, we have many data centers. Your task will be to find the carbon emission of a data center and its cost in dollar based on energy used on a yearly basis. Make sure you avoid redundant reporting and find a new data center. And that means this is, if there's already a data center in the table, don't do it again. Right? to find something else. So in this case, we have 3 data centers. We have one in Iowa, I think from Google. Oh no, we have one in Iowa, in Arkansas from Exceed. We have one IU, and we have one in Iowa from Google. So pick some other center. And then the same thing with the other exercises, right? So now let's take exercise number data center 5, what that's about. So we go in here and see B data center 5. That would be your task.
You know, yes, I got a problem is that when I go to your book, everything is mismatching. Data center is a chapter 3 and not the 4. And also the weekly assignment is, it doesn't have a week 2. So I think I got the wrong book or what?
Yes, so why don't you share your screen and we talk you through this.
Yeah, let me see. Actually, I'm a different laptop, different. Let me try to show it there. You can see me.
Yeah. So now go to your.
So I have a book that already downloaded.
I don't want to look at this. I would like.
Go to the link.
But as you see, they're downloaded on 8/22.
Yeah, on the August 22 from your website.
Yeah, but we have set this as download a new version since then.
Okay.
So you have downloaded a new version. So what you need to do is you need to go to Canvas.
Canvas, okay.
So just go to Canvas.
Where is my Canvas?
You just type in IU Canvas in your Google. There,
okay.
Up there. IU space Canvas.
That Canvas?
Then click on this. Now log in.
Let me try to. Yeah.
There's a login button.
Yep.
Now you log in there. You can also. Oh, okay.
Oh, it doesn't send me a push?
You just say cancel and then send you a push.
Okay. Let me send it again. Oh, it did send me.
So now you go to that class in the dashboard that you have. You click on that.
Yep. Then
assignments. Now you locate the week.
And down to.
No, week 2. It was already there.
Week 2 here.
Now you click on this. And if you like, you can bookmark this particular page.
Yes. And then
let me show you a trick what I do, because you will have to visit this. See the information thing in your URL. Go to the left. Go to the left.
The last one.
There's an eye, a circle with an eye.
Right here.
No.
Not.
Just.
Let me go back.
Where is the URL in the browser?
Okay, right here.
Yeah. Drag that particular URL just after apps.
Drag it to where?
After 8 apps. See there where you have your folder 00115? Why don't you drag that folder?
Oh.
There.
Drag this one. Copy it. Drag this one too.
After APSS. No. The very first line in your bookmark.
Right here.
It's called APSS.
Okay. Right here.
There you go.
Okay.
Just drop it there. So
Okay.
now
So
you
you can.
right click on this. You right click on this and you say edit. And you remove all of the, you just remove everything but the e516.
Okay.
And remove the fall so that you don't use that much space, okay?
Okay.
So the minus, there you go. So now you save it.
Yep. Save it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can have a bookmark here.
Now click on this. Every single time you want to read the book, instead of
Okay.
looking at your downloaded stuff, you just click there and then you can click on these things.
Yes.
EPUB and the PDF flow. That's where you're always having the newest version.
Oh, that's the problem, that I got the old version here.
Yeah.
That's why I couldn't
Right.
get it.
So now you can see the new version has been created September 3rd, right? So there's no way that you can find naturally information that I've published on September 3rd in a document that is
Week2. Oh, okay. I saw
22nd,
that.
right?
Okay. Great. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks,
So
Professor.
thank you for asking that question.
Thank
It's
you.
really important to understand to go to the source. One of the other things, why don't you just go back to that link next to the apps? Click on this. Yes. So now go to books there. See books?
Yep.
Now click on cloud computing. So now drag and drop the link next to e516.
Okay.
Same thing, because you will be just using this thing so many times.
I see. Yep. Yeah, I can just leave that.
And now maybe you change this to CC for cloud computing, right?
Yeah.
So Control A, maybe, and then just say CC.
Oh, yeah. Thanks a lot. I just want to leave that like that.
Yeah.
So that I can recognize it. Yeah.
Right. So so I have my own. If you look at my my thing, I've only the icons because I know the order of the placement. I just have this nicely done. Okay, was this helpful? Were you able to now identify how to get the information?
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Oh, no problem. So we're here to help. Okay. Okay. Is there anybody else who has a question? No one else has a question, because if there's no other question, I would like to show you some way now. We need to be making sure that you all have an HID directory. If you don't, then you need to be contacting us via instructors. And we see what we typically see is people send me private messages via Piazza. But when here you can see, for example, how I have it. See, for example, my Piazza folder here is here. And then I have, for example, the GitHub community in here. So this way, if I go here, I know that this will be the class Piazza. So when you send a post to me, don't send a post to me if it's not a private post. If you do a private post, send it to instructors. This has the advantage that it comes over to also the TAs. So if I should not be available, the TAs will be answering the question, okay? If you send it to me, I may never answer your question because it's not sent to instructors, depending on if this question can be answered by instructors, okay? Can we agree upon this so everybody understands that? Good.
Sure, Professor.
So the next thing that we want to do is we want to now figure out. Oh, is by the way the student who has 516 and 523 at the same time online? No. Okay. So one of the things we are now going is you can look, for example, in anybody's repository. So like John, I've seen you online just a second ago. And he's one of the people who has written the data center section, right? And so one of the things that we see here is he has done the IU data center. And so this looks pretty good. And I want everybody to really do something like this, what he has done. So you can see from John what he has done, and there's no problem while looking into what other people have done and you know, replicating it. But again, he has done IU Data Center, so you should not be using IU Data Center. So maybe we can find some other data centers. Okay. Then I'm not sure if he was him. We give pretty clear instructions where to place the files, because what we do in the end, we include this information actually in proceedings, and they will be assembled based on the information that you have done. And in order for the proceedings to work, the very first line in one's contribution must be a headline. And this headline must have only one hash character. All other headlines in the sections must have more hashes than the first one, right? They can only be one with one hash. Otherwise, the inclusion in the book doesn't work that well, okay? So he has done this all correctly. And if we were to, for example, put a comment in here such as this here and say, good job. Typically, I don't do good job. I put do this. And when we save this, this comes up in your repository such as this. And this is then an improvement suggestion that we would ask you to do, okay? So, this allows us to iteratively work with you on an improvement of your assignment. So as you can see, we can edit GitHub stuff in here. And naturally, I can also create a new file here in his directory, or he can maybe create a directory if you would like to do this. And you would like to show your bio, you could be creating a bio, or you could be creating some other file. Or if you want to create a subdirectory, if we ask for it, or if you want to organize some stuff in a subdirectory, maybe nodes, then you can put in there maybe another file, readme.md. And so this would now be here created in his directory. He has now a subdirectory called nodes, in which he has a README file, okay? This is one way of how we can interact with the system. Another way is you can check out this particular directory with git clone. So he can use the command line and do a git clone. How do you do a git clone? You go on this directory, in the home directory, there's clone or download. You choose HTTPS or SSH, depending on how you want to use it. You copy this line, and then you simply say git clone, and then that particular line, and then you enter it. Once you enter it, this directory will be downloaded, and then you can enter this particular directory. And let's assume this is your directory, and then we have all the stuff there. Now you know that Gregor and the TAs are sometimes doing some updates into your directory. So it's wise to do a git pull at the beginning of your activity. And here you see is I have actually made some changes in this thing that I need to be still committing. So I say git add maybe data center and say git commit, and now a -m and simply say this is Gregor's comments, maybe more meaningful thing. And then I type in the file name data center, and then I push this into the remote. At this time, it's still locally here. I push this into the remote repository, But now, because I have already gotten updates from other people, I say git pull here to get that information. Now there is a merge to see what the merge conflict is, and you see now here that there are two things happening here, and we now need to be figuring out how to fix that error. I will not fix it correctly. Is it all right with you? So I will just do something. You will be fixing this at a later time, right? So the first sentence here is already there. We can assume. Let's assume this. So something has changed. Let's assume this was the wrong thing here, and I haven't yet updated properly. And there is another change down here. So I fix these errors. So I'm merging now the changes. And now I push. So when I now go into the repository here and visit this particular file, you will see that this is what we have now merged. So there are now two ways. You can edit this by hand, like with this thing. You can do this here and then make sure when you commit, you put in. The third option is to just use PyCharm. I have downloaded this repository and edited to my PyCharm. And see here, I have now this particular thing. Now let me make here a modification in one of the files. Maybe I put here these things in to make this a proper markdown document. So this is now nicely formatted. So now I can right click here on this. I can say git, commit the file. I put the commit message in, format numbered list as markdown. And I commit this. And then this is only the commit to my local machine. And now I commit this to the remote machine on GitHub. I push it out, and then I'm pushing it into GitHub. So if I'm now looking into my GitHub repository via the Chrome thing and do a refresh and visit this here in raw, you can see that the changes of the indentation were properly done. So you have now 3 different ways on how you can commit to the repository. The important part is that you use the GUI probably first, because in case you don't have any GitHub experience, and if you have GitHub experience, that you may use the other methods. And then towards the middle of the semester, when you start working on your code, or maybe even in the next week or 2 weeks, you will probably want to use either the command line method or the PyCharm method. Be aware that you have to do a pull sometimes, because TAs may actually comment into your code or into your homework assignments. So you may want to look into this. Are there any questions concerning this? We will have a full lecture on GitHub, so don't worry about it. If this was too fast, there's a full lecture on GitHub at one point that you will be looking into. Are there any intermediate questions on this? So I don't have any other things that we need to be discussing today, other than those who are online. Do you guys have also all an HID directory? So I know that John has one. So Harsha, do you have one?
Yeah.
Anybody can use the yes. There is this yes green button there. Ketan is using it. Yeah. Click. Everybody who has a HID directory, click yes now.
HID directory.
Yes.
Maybe I have no idea what that directory is.
Sherry, you have one, right?
I do have one. Oh, sorry.
Sherry, you have one, right?
Yes,
And
I just
Harsha, you
can't
have one
figure out the yes button that you were speaking of. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's when you press on manage participants or participants, there is a yes button in this the chat window.
Yes, I found it. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So this is a good test. Harsha, have you found it too?
No, that's exactly my question. Also, I did create 3 accounts.
Sherry, can you explain her where to find it, because it may look differently on my monitor than on yours?
Okay, so when I'm looking at Zoom, I have to exit the full screen, and then it pops up. There's a menu at the bottom, and about dead center, there's a button that has 2 people standing next to each other. It says participants, and there's 8 of us. Once I click that, a menu comes up, and then I can see the green yes.
Yeah, good. It looks completely different on my Zoom version. So good that you described it. Well, it doesn't matter. So Harsha, do you have an HID directory?
No, Professor. I don't.
Okay, so let's
has been created.
Let's locate where these things are. So we have sent out an email message to everybody, or hopefully via GitHub. So if you have not received that email message, you need to be looking into the spam mail folder, because you may have very tightly controlled spam mail folder and may have deleted this. But typically you can also find it when you go to github.com and log in into your GitHub account name that you have given to us. And one of the things I now do is I have a shortcut to this GitHub directory. And now I can here look for Harsha. And is this you?
Yes.
Well, apparently you have a GitHub directory. So, so you need to be bookmarking this. And same thing, and same thing for Tran. This was Tran who had the question, right?
Yes. Yeah, I got that.
So there is another directory there. This is your HID directory.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, got it.
This is where you, by the way, submit your assignment.